Hello everyone, the build I'm giving you today is the best build in Warframe to speedrun through spy levels. You'd want to do this and make this build, so maybe you can farm mods for Plat, farm Yvara parts so you can feed her to the Helminth for her quiver ability, and complete Archon hunts and sortie spy missions as fast as possible. So let's get right into it. The main idea of this build is we'll be using Wukong's second ability called Cloudwalker to turn into a cloud, zoom through tile sets, remain invisible for the entire duration of the ability, and be able to go through lasers without setting off alarms. Then we'll be helmthing on the ability called perspicacity. You can get this ability by ranking up your Helminth to rank 3, so it's not too hard to get. This ability has a long cast animation, but after it's over, the ability is active until you try to hack into a terminal, and when you hack into the terminal, it will automatically hack it for you. The best part is that this ability works in Archon hunt and sortie missions when you're not allowed to use ciphers. So for the build on Wukong, you don't need to use any Forma if you're using Wukong Prime, and it's just a high duration and high energy efficiency build. Natural Talent is one of the important mods on here, I'd say, because this lets you speed up the build by cutting down on Perspicacity's long cast animation. If you don't have it, or you want to put on a different mod in this slot, you can replace it with 2 Amber Archon shards. Then Preparation is the only energy regeneration mod we need on this build, because it makes it so we don't have to waste our time with killing enemies or using any energy regen methods to get our energy up. 1 full bar of energy is actually all you'll need for a single spy mission, because the 2 abilities we're going to be using both only cost 7.5 energy. And again, if you don't have this mod or just want to replace it, you can use 3 Amber Archon shards to substitute it. Then for the arcanes, you can use whatever you want, but I use Molt Efficiency for more duration so I can stay in the cloud longer, and Arcane Nullifier because in some of the clips you'll see after I hack a console, I'll be using Perspicacity right away, and I have to run through one of the Grenier tileset doors that make it so you get a magnetic proc, and I just want to hold W on this build at all times, so this just makes it so I don't lose my energy on those doors. So Wukong is definitely one of the fastest frames for spy missions, but his one problem is that he's only invisible when he's in his cloud form. So enemies are able to shoot him and cameras are able to see him when he's hacking terminals. So to fix that, we will be using the mod Untraceable on our Parazon. You can farm this mod on the Kuva Fortress spy mission Pago by completing at least 2 vaults for a 10% chance to get this mod as a mission reward. This mod makes it so you're essentially invisible the entire time you're in a spy vault, because if you're playing correctly, when you hack a terminal at the beginning of the spy vault, you'll start your invisibility, and then hacking any terminals in the spy vault will then refresh it. For optional mods on our Parazon, the first one will be Livewire. This is so enemies don't shoot you while you're hacking the first console while you're not invisible, assuming there's any enemies there actually. But even if enemies are shooting at you, it's not a big deal since Wukong's passive gives him 3 lives before he goes down. Then the last mod will be Runtime, so you can move just a bit faster while casting Perspicacity after each console you hack. The sprint speed on this mod, or any mod for that matter, does not affect the speed of Wukong's cloud. Not totally sure why, but it seems that the movement speed buff from Cloudwalker only applies to Wukong's base movement speed and ignores any sprint speed mods. Yes, sprint speed and movement speed are 2 different things in this game. Although Cloudwalker's movement speed buff stacks additively with other movement speed buffs, like Saren's Molt, which would be great to put on this build, but we can't since Perspicacity will save us much more time and effort on Archon hunts, sorties, and nightmare missions where you're not allowed to use ciphers. But if you just want to use ciphers on regular missions, I would put on Molt instead of Perspicacity. There is a somewhat convenient way to get a little bit more speed out of the cloud though, and this is by equipping a dagger, which I didn't know before I made this video, but most daggers in the game give a 5 to 10% movement speed buff while you're holding them. Then there is a melee mod called Dispatch Overdrive, which gives you 60% movement speed when you hit a heavy attack on an enemy. So throw on this mod onto one of these daggers, then all the heavy attack windup speed and attack speed mods you can, so while you're flying through a tile set, when you see an enemy, just cancel Cloudwalker, heavy slam or heavy attack the enemy, and go right back into Cloudwalker. The buff isn't super huge, but it definitely feels like it's worth the small time loss for stopping. So that's all you really need for this build, and it allows you to absolutely barrel through spy missions. I don't even run weapons on this build just so I can have my dagger out quicker by a fraction of a second, unless I'm doing a Lewis spy mission where you need a gun. So the last thing I gotta say before the outro is that this build is not the best for learning spy vaults. You're not gonna be invisible the whole time because you're gonna be trying to figure out where to go and what to do. So use Loki or Octavia for their invisibility when you're trying to learn how to do spy vaults. Then once you know where you're going and what you're doing, switch this build and you'll be just halving the time off your spy missions so fast. But if you already know what you're doing in spy missions and you play a lot of Warframe or plan on farming spy missions, you should absolutely make this build because it's truly the best in the game. Thanks for watching. If you like this video or enjoy playing Warframe optimally, check out my best disruption build video. It's similar to this. Also, if you have any ideas on how to improve this build, have a faster spy build, or have any questions, leave them down in the comments down below. And leave a like if this build's cracked, and subscribe if you want more amazing builds like this. See ya.